This is Jonathan Agatha for Pro Boxing Fans, joined by Eddie Hearn 9 days out from Conor Benn against Chris Eubank Jr. live on DAZN pay-per-view. Speaking to Conor just over there, Eddie, he's basically not reading into all this legacy talk. He's just focused on the fight. Just talk me through what you're seeing from Conor Benn in these last week left of.
I see a very focused individual, in all honesty. I mean, I think he's sitting over there now, 163, 164 pounds. Looks like he's ready to make championship weight at welterweight. So focused, excited. Next week's going to be crazy. Going to be a tremendous build-up, and I think it will honestly be a fantastic fight.
What have you made of Eubank's comments throughout this build-up? He's giving me very David Haye pre-Bellew vibes with the way he's been very dismissive of Ben. But does he have to be that way? Because he's fighting, to be fair, welterweight, and does he have to have it in his mind that he's better?
I think he is taking Conor Benn lightly. I mean, look, he's trained hard and he'll be giving it everything, but I think he thinks it's an easy night's work. I think he thinks he's going to be too big, too strong. He's going to go in there and dominate him, and I think he's going to get a big shock. Conor Benn, he's massively underrated technically as a fighter. He can punch as well, but Eubank has a great chin, and if he hasn't prepared properly for this fight, he's in for a huge shock.
I spoke to Conor at the first press conference. He said he'd be willing to face Boots Ennis next. Would you be willing to put him in with someone like that next?
One of the reasons you take the Eubank fight for this kind of magnitude and financial reward is the other options are also very, very difficult. Boots Ennis, Crawford, Spence. Even when you're talking about Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman, these are all elite fighters. I don't see Eubank as an elite fighter. I think he's a world-class fighter, but there are much more difficult fights. And to win a world title at 147, Conor's going to have to be involved in very, very tough fights, and I believe that he can win a world title at 147, but obviously right now the focus is on Chris Eubank Jr.
Will this fight be available in pubs next week?
There'll be an announcement soon from DAZN on that. Obviously it's something they're working very hard towards. Also next Friday, primetime BBC One, there will be a big documentary on the fight the night before the fight, and like I say, the build-up's going to be huge.
I want to talk about Fury against Joshua. Tyson Fury set a deadline of today. I know you said in a number of interviews that's not going to happen. How did this proposed meeting go on Monday?
Meetings have been good. I mean, a lot of what he said is not actually true. Firstly, when we agreed terms for this fight, it took, I think, 8 or 9 days for us to receive a draft contract. I'm not hating on that, because it's a huge fight and these things take time. The contract was all over the place, and last week we spent the whole week in meetings all the time, and you heard from us and Frank Warren saying things are going well. And on Monday, just gone, we sent our final draft contract to Queensbury. Tyson Fury also came out and said the fight's off, you haven't signed it, I'm not, so the fight was off. We kind of down tools. Spoke to George Warren on Tuesday, said, look, let me speak to Tyson. Yesterday afternoon we received the comments back from Queensbury from our final draft on Monday, which is being reviewed right now. Spoke to George Warren at midnight last night. He said, let me try and convince Tyson Fury and I'll come back to you. And next thing you see an Instagram post saying, I'll give you till today, sign it, you dosser. And it's like, we ain't going to sign it. We just got your comments back. So we have to go back and review that and go back on your comments. So it's frustrating because the process has actually been cordial and it's moved at a decent pace. When you talk about timeframes, to give you an example, Chris Eubank against Conor Benn, from the moment the first draft was sent, probably took 2.5 months to get signed. We're like, and it's not been, we haven't had the contract for 14 days like Tyson Fury said, but ultimately it's going to take time. You're talking about, he's a challenger. He's Anthony Joshua. He has huge commercial deals in place that can't just, the process can't just be basically, Queensbury will decide everything for the fight, all the deals, the commercial deals, and they have final say on everything. So we have to go through a process. He also said all the deals are done by the broadcaster. They're not. But there has been positive communication between the broadcasters. I think that bit can get done, and I think the fight can get done. But it ain't getting done today. So when he comes out and says the fight's off, it doesn't do him or the process any favours. And I can't talk negatively about the process because it's been quite pleasant with George Warren and Queensbury, remarkably, which is a positive, actually, moving forward. And, I just think he wants to turn around now and fight. I mean, they offered Derek Chisora to fight, I think today or yesterday. So it's like, are you playing games? What are you trying to do? Manuel Charles been offered the fight. So, again, I expect him to come out tonight and say, you big dossers, it's off again. And he said on Monday, if you don't sign this fight, the fight is not happening. Now, apparently that wasn't true, and now it's today. But hopefully he can let the teams do their work, because honestly, they're both working at pace to get it done.
John Fury said on TalkSport the other day he thinks AJ's terrified and that the fight's never going to happen. What do you make of that?
Well, we would not accept the terms. All the terms were in Tyson Fury's favour. The split, the rematch clause, a date that, quite frankly, was very tight for Anthony Joshua. We accept it, and we're all in on that date. They had December 17, right, which made no difference at all, an extra 2 weeks for Anthony Joshua. If they were so confident, why wouldn't they give AJ those 2 weeks? It was like, no, agree to terms or it's off. So we agreed to terms. So I don't see how he can be terrified. And also, you do remember that Anthony Joshua signed for this fight 9 or 10 months ago. And Tyson Fury pulled out of the fight because of the arbitration. So he's more than willing to fight Tyson Fury. But the frustrating thing is, and I actually see now most people comment on Tyson Fury and say, I don't know what to believe for this guy. But you still get the odd one going, why don't AJ just sign it? He knows the money, sign it. It doesn't work like that, and it's frustrating. But we'll go through the process. I've got nothing bad to say about anyone because I want to try and make the fight.
Last one on this, suggestion online that DAZN may be reluctant to be putting Anthony Joshua in a fight like this, having just signed an exclusive deal for him then to be on the potential of three losses in a row.
I think that there's a lot of work to be done around the TV deals, but I think DAZN, I know that they're productive, proactive, that they have no problem with him going into this fight.
Just a couple more. Edgar Berlanga called out John Ryder the other day. Any update on that?
Actually, again, going back to the Queensberry conversations, since we've had those conversations, we've talked about Boazzi Yard. They made us an offer for John Ryder to fight Zach Parker, because he's now in line after Andre pulled out. At the same time, we've had conversations and interest from Edgar Berlanga. So basically, Ryder's going to fight Zach Parker or Edgar Berlanga. And we're weighing up both offers, and we'll make a decision in due course.
Does that have to be on DAZN, Ryder Berlanga?
No, it'll be on Ryder Berlanga will be on ESPN, and Ryder Parker will be on BT.
And Alen Babic, any latest with him?
Yes, it looks like he's going to be ordered to fight Oscar Rivas for the Bridgerweight World title, which is a tremendous fight, and I think that could be next for him.
And when could that take place?
Sorry?
When could it take place?
November, I would think.
And just finally, Dillian Whyte moved to Buddy McGirt. Your reaction to that? And he said he'd fight AJ in December. Are there talks about him returning to Matchroom?
Yeah, there are. We're planning a fight for him end of November. We'll give you some news on that soon. Great link up with Buddy McGirt, fantastic trainer. I like the move.
Eddie Hearn, appreciate it.
Cheers, mate.